Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome to the show. Sunday is the Addicted to Gear get together with the boys that I look forward to all week. Hope you guys are doing well. And we're going to have a nice chit chat today about gear, guitars, and all kinds of cool stuff. If I can find my pick. I keep losing my stuff. I usually have a pick in my pocket at some point. Let me go see here. What? No pick. Oh man, I hope I didn't lose it. That was one of my favorites. All right. You see, guys, this is why you should always have more than one pick in your pocket. Anyways, no, I'll grab another one. It won't be the same. I like the other one better. How you guys doing? Today's show 289, I believe. So we're going to be celebrating the big 300 in a couple of weeks. Can't believe I've been doing so many of these live shows already, but I hope you guys are enjoying them because I have a good time. Let's see here now. You guys, I'm just going to catch up on your chats because you were chit-chatting amongst yourselves as usual. So, first of all, there's a poll question today, guys, as usual. Yeah, I pinned it to the chat, so you have it at the top of the chat there in case you don't know where to find it. You still have time to vote. Secondly, please give me a thumbs up if you're here, if you're new, if you're close to that thumbs up button. That always helps. Then, of course, if you have a topic you want to discuss today, don't wait till the end. Let's talk about it early on in the show because sometimes we go off on some tangents. You know how it is. We get distracted. And we basically would like to jump right in on the chat. If you're new, welcome. If you're watching a rerun, you can always ask your questions after the show. Okay, everybody knows the rules here. Not really rules, but guidelines. So, let's see. You guys were trying to guess my guitar today again. I'm glad you guys still do that. It's cool to hear you guys trying to guess what I'll be playing. MFN said I'd be playing the Green SG. I think you tried to guess, or somebody tried to guess the Green SG last week as well. And no Green SG today. Let's see here. So Dan is here. And Dan says you don't like the George Bensons. I don't know where that came from. And I don't know who he's talking to about that. But and then Dan Steely says those are some freaking expensive strings. Let's see here. Danielle is here. And then, let's see here. So NFM says he's got his Les Paul Studio tuned up and coffee ready. And then Wayne says Tokai all day long. So I guess Wayne is the winner. So congratulations on that, Wayne. Maybe I should start sending you guys out some of those Addicted to Gear stickers again. If you guys guess what guitar I'm playing, maybe I should start that again. So Wayne, you're the winner. If you want a sticker, let me know. I'll send it out to you. Vinny is here. Good music is good. Says good morning. Any plan to check out the new Velaton GP180? Not really, because I have the GP200 right here, and I don't know if the 180 is much different. To be honest, the 200 is a pretty nice machine. This is what I'm playing today, guys. So let me. There's a lot of nice sounds in this thing. I have this thing on today, guys. It's giving me issues. My thumb and my wrist. are giving me issues. Unfortunately, with this thing on, I can't really palm mute very well. It gets in the way. But anyway, you can hear what it sounds like. It might be a little bit too loud, but so if you have the GP200, I don't know if the 180 is going to be that much of a difference. Let me see. I'm curious to see what the specs are on the Valiton GP180. Let's see. And these Valiton units are really nice, by the way, guys. So the 180, I'm on the Valiton website here. What's too loud mean exactly? That's what I say. It's not coming up for me. How come? Who's looking at the Valiton 180, by the way? Anybody here thinking about getting one, or you already have one, or there's the 150 and the 180, I think, right? These are the smaller versions. Yeah, I know the DSP is slightly different on these. They're more compact as well. But I don't know how much of a difference you're going to actually hear between them. I like to have the multiple switches as well, because I don't know if you know the GP200 has 8 switches on it. It has a built-in drum machine. It also has the expression pedal. It has the looper built in, so you can do, you know, wah effects and all kinds of stuff like that. So I'm curious to know if this one is going to sound much better. It also has a bigger screen. I think the new version has a smaller screen, 2.4 inches. I believe the one on the GP200 is a bigger screen on that. So I'm not sure. I mean, you like the tap tempo on the 180? Yeah, well, this one has tap tempo too. It has a tuner and a tap tempo. I don't know if did I show you this? I don't know if I showed you this, guys. Probably not. But the tap tempo is right here. So if you're playing a delay, you just have to tap it, and it's gonna sync with the delay. So yeah. Anyways, there's a lot of great stuff out there, and the Valiton stuff is very impressive these days for the amount of money that you're spending. You're getting a really cool unit, and you can put this on your board, and you can put other pedals into it as well if you want to use your own distortion pedals or boost pedals and stuff. It's got a really nice series of ins and outs as well. This unit has been out for how long, guys? I don't remember how. I think it came out, what, 3 years ago? About 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot to be said about, you know, where the multi-effects units are going these days. And I think the next generation of multi-effects units, in my opinion, are going to be AI generated. Like, they're going to be a lot more integrated with AI. There's a lot of units that are already starting to show up on the market now, which are plugged into AI and allow you to do some freaky things. I don't know how useful they're going to be, but I'm sure people are going to find ways to use them. So I'd be curious to see where this goes. You know, the next generation should be very interesting. So if you guys are considering getting something now, what would you be considering? What have you seen out there that is sort of titillating for you, is getting you excited? Let's just leave it at that. Excited is the word I'm going to be using for today. Jean-Pierre says, this guitar setup sounds so much like the first Van Halen album. Oh, thanks, man. I think the patch that I'm using is the first patch in the GP200, and it's just called It's GP200, and I'm pretty sure it's kind of based on an Eddie Van Halen sound. I think. Pretty sure. That's usually a lot of these modeling companies. That's what they start off with is a Van Halen sound because, you know, great tone. Is that close enough? Sounds like Van Halen, I think, right? A little bit. So David said I got some new gear this week. The Soran Tiny Stomp, easy to use and fun to play when you're sitting on the couch. Too many shortcomings to make it my permanent practice tool. Still, that's cool. I think having a new toy is always a lot of fun, David. Keeps things interesting, right? I got a couple little new toys as well here. I'll be showing you guys later this week. There's a couple of things that I got that I'm not really enthusiastic about. I thought they'd sound better, and I maybe am a little disappointed, or maybe I have to figure out exactly how to use them to maximize the sonic potential. But I'll be doing some videos for you guys. You'll see what I mean. Vox says, I've been thinking about getting a Gibson Les Paul Black Beauty copy from AliExpress. Thoughts? Yes, I wish I could get one without the Gibson logo. Why do you want to get something off of AliExpress? Why don't you get something like the Tokai I'm playing? It's much better. The stuff off of the Chinese places like AliExpress and Banggood and all these other places is hit and miss, man. You know, a lot of them look nice, but they're far from being nice at the end of the day. When you actually get them in your hands, there's a lot of things that are a little quirky about those. They just kind of aim to get it to look like the guitar. And that's close enough. As far as the playability and everything else, then it's going to require quite a bit of work. So you might end up getting a good one, but again, it's hit and miss. And from my experience, I don't think it's worth it. You know, you're probably better off going with an Epiphone or going with a Tokai or something else along those lines if you really want a Black Beauty. You know, you're going to be better off in the long run. Plus, you know, you won't be able to sell something that's made in China for very much money. I don't think many people will be takers unless you have something very unique, considering the price. Eddie says that his HX Stomp has a glitchy knob. I think some contact cleaner would fix it. I don't know. Eddie, I'm not sure. You can try, but you know, these multi-effects, these little multi-effects units, they use mini components sometimes, and it's not necessarily a pot. So I'm not sure. You got to be very careful when you're doing that. You don't want to ruin something else in there. If you're going to try and clean it, Eddie, I wouldn't just spray it in there. I'd kind of try and be a little bit more strategic and surgical exactly where the contact cleaner is going to go. Maybe do it with a Q-tip or something like that instead of just spraying it in there. If it's under warranty, you could probably get that replaced or fixed. David said he had a Sigma Black Beauty a long time ago. Great guitar. She took a header off the stage. Oh no. Oh no. Oh man, that sucks. Did you just scrap it, or did you try and fix it? Do you still have it, or what's going on? Those Sigma guitars, I remember those. Yeah, those were cool. One thing I like about this one compared to a real Black Beauty is the weight, right? The real Black Beauties are really beautiful guitars. The guitarist in my band that plays with me also has a Black Beauty. He rarely plays it though. And that thing weighs, I think, almost 10 pounds. So it's very heavy. It's really like it feels like a boat anchor when you have it around your neck. This one is not that heavy. I forget how much it actually weighs. I don't know if I have my, let me see here. I just so happen to have my scale here. I forget, I weighed it at one point, but I don't remember now. So I'll weigh it again. Hopefully it won't fall. Yeah, this one's 7.3 pounds. 7.3 pounds as opposed to 10 pounds. Big difference. 7.3 is not bad. It's a good weight for a guitar. And it's pretty comfortable. I think I'm going to be bringing this tonight. I'm going to be jamming with the boys tonight. So I think I've decided I'll bring this one. I haven't played this one in a while. And it's a fun guitar to play. So it sounds good acoustically too. It's got a nice lively resonance, this one. All right, so Mr. Fat's Variety Vibes Show is here. How's it going, rockers? Are we ready to rock? Yeah, we're always ready, man. Especially Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock. My eyes are still not even like wide open yet, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try. Welcome. We're talking about guitar mishaps in case you're just jumping in. Vox wants to know if the guitar is chambered. To my knowledge, it's not. This one I don't think is chambered. It's hard to get all the information on these guitars because there's information all over the place. Some is accurate, some isn't. But as far as I know, they're not chambered. Unless somebody has information I don't have. It is the Japanese version, guys, not the Korean version. So, Vox wants to know what's up with the wrist support. You okay? Yeah, Vox, I mentioned it already at the beginning of the show. I've been having some issues with tendonitis. I got a tendon that goes all the way up my arm that really hurts. Like even if I just do this, I get like an electrical side kind of impulse kind of feeling that goes all the way down to my thumb and all the way up to my elbow. My elbow, not my elbow, my shoulder. So I got one of these supports. I figured, let me try to see if it makes a difference. But I think it's just repetitive strain. So it's just using the shoulder and stuff. And I feel it like if I gotta lift anything up, past this, the shoulder hurts. And it's all stemming from here. So it's been tricky. I didn't want it to get worse because sometimes when I play guitar, just the pressure on the thumb from using the pick gives me pain. So I'm just using this today just to have something to give me a little bit of extra support. I don't think it's going to work. Not that I know of, but we'll try, There's that riff at the beginning of Don't Stop Believing that it's hard to do without palm muting. Because I can't palm mute with this thing. This is like it's thick, right? So what else are you guys eyeballing this week? Have you, maybe you're looking at some other guitars that are lighter. Maybe you're looking at maybe selling a guitar or doing something else with one of your heavy guitars. I don't know. Maybe modifying them in some way or another to make it easier on the back. Um, Dan says, I watched my guitar player snap his Les Paul neck in a ceiling fan. Oh, damn. That must have been a very powerful ceiling fan. Mr. Fats wants to know, that's a handsome guitar. Who plays it? Can't see the brand. Oh, yeah, this is a Tokai. I don't know if you're familiar with Tokai guitars. It's a Japanese manufacturer. I have a few. I'm a big fan of these guitars. They're kind of, Gibson guitar homages, if you don't want to use the term copy. But basically, they have a very good reputation in the industry for being, the next best thing. Sometimes people even claim they're even better than Gibsons. Now that remains to be seen. I actually do have Gibsons as well, but I end up playing these guitars more often, so that I guess says something. Cool Tune says he got himself a Gretsch 5222 Malcolm inspired. Loving it so far. Solo, Telecaster, and Gretsch 5222 in 3 weeks. Happy days. Yeah, I remember you mentioned you got the solo guitar as well. So that's a decent guitar, not too shabby in its own right. And then of course the Gretsch, very nice guitars. People like those. So you're happy days indeed. I hope you're enjoying playing those things, man. Play the crap out of them. Very cool. Congratulations, man. You deserve it, dude. Dan says, it was 30 years ago and I look up every time to this day. So you were kind of traumatized by that decapitation. I understand. Luckily, I don't have any ceiling fans in my house, so it wouldn't be an issue. Cooltoon says, I've also been experiencing pain in my thumb and wrist. Sucks. It does. It's not fun. Getting old sucks, But the important thing is not to make it get worse, If you start feeling pains like that, do something about it right away. I kind of avoided doing anything, and I thought it'd go away on its own, but it's not. It's not getting worse, but it's not getting better. It's just there now. So got to deal with that. Music is good, or good music is good, says, still in the honeymoon phase with my new Harley Benton Brian May guitar. Yeah, you mentioned that a couple of weeks back, I think, and it's an interesting choice. You're going when you get yourself a guitar that is an artist signature series, especially like that guitar, since it's not based on any other guitar. Like a signature series, like a Slash guitar is basically a Gibson Les Paul. Eric Clapton is basically a Fender. You have other brands out there that have their own signature models. But when you're going Brian May obviously designed his own guitar. He built it himself, so it's not based on any production model, really. So yeah, you gotta be dedicated if you're gonna be taking the jump to do something like that. Because I've never played a Brian May guitar at all. I don't think I've ever seen one in a store, so I wouldn't even be able to tell you how it feels, what kind of neck profile and all that kind of stuff. So did you buy this because you're a huge Brian May fan? You love Queen? You maybe have other guitars already and you figure this won't, like, why not? What inspired you to go the route of getting the Brian May guitar? I'm very curious. I don't know how many people actually will buy these guitars. I have no clue how popular they are. They must be popular to a certain degree if the companies are still making them. Otherwise, they wouldn't, right? The Human Jones says, I'm in the market for a mint green pickguard for my new Strat. Also a hard case. Fun fact, Fender is sold out on pickguards and the case I want, so I'm going off brand. Well, the good news is that you can get Fender pickguards almost anywhere. I'm pretty sure you can probably even get one off of Amazon. That is like an OEM version that will fit perfectly. You can also get custom made pickguards as well from a lot of companies out there. I was also in the market for a pickguard for my Charvel, the red Charvel behind me here, right there. This guy, that guy. Because I decided I was gonna change the pickups and go from single coil humbucker to humbucker. And to be able to do that, I was just gonna take off the stock pickguard, put it in a bag with the pickup still on it, like I normally do. I like to keep it pristine just in case I want to return it back to stock. But I was gonna order another Charvel pickguard and put in some pickups that I bought into that guitar. The problem is that they're sold out too. I was gonna just buy one at my local Long and McQuaid, and unfortunately, I think I have to wait till April. Not even April. What am I saying? No, June or something. Anyways, they're sold out, and I don't know why, but they are. So I can't get one. I tried to see if I can get one off of another company that makes reproduction models, but most of them are in the States, and it doesn't make sense because with exchange and shipping and everything and duties, it would cost me like $100 to get a pickguard, which doesn't make sense. Not that the one I'm gonna get from Long and McQuaid is gonna be much cheaper. It's still gonna probably cost me around $40 with $45 with taxes and everything. But I don't mind waiting. I'm not in a big rush. But it's something that I want to do because I think I would enjoy playing the guitar with humbuckers more than I am with the single coils at the moment. Plus the pickups in that guitar are kind of higher output pickups, and I wanted to also try the other brand. I actually decided to go with a pretty budget brand, and you guys might laugh at me a little bit because the ones that are in that guitar are Seymour Duncan's. I don't know if you guys heard about these pickups. They're called Fleor. They're very inexpensive. Although they do get good reviews and they do have a lot of people saying that they sound really good for the money. I never tried these, and I felt I wanted to give it a shot. These are Alnico 2, and Alnico 2s I like. I'm a big fan of the 57 Classics, which are also Alnico 2s. So I'm going to try putting these in. Here, I'll show you kind of what they look like here. They're just standard, black bobbins here. And, you can see what they are. And I mean, they're not made any worse than any others that I've seen, even the higher end ones. And they do have, so you can see by the wire here, they have the 4-wire plus ground instead of just the 2, which means you can do switching if you wanted to. You can do out of phase and all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna do any of that. It's gonna be just standard. Just standard, 3-way on my guitar. But it's going to be something that I think it'll be interesting because I'll be able to see what the quality of the Fleor pickups are and whether or not I enjoy that guitar better with humbuckers, which I think I will. The mid pickup always gets in the way for me. It's just where I position my hands. So I figured it would be a good thing to do. Vox says, I have Fleor pickups in my SG copy. They're not bad, especially for the money. I know. I think a lot of people have mentioned that they're pretty good. David also says, I have heard many mentions about the Fleors. And Eddie says, never bought pickups in a Ziploc baggie. Yeah, that's what they're shipping in. David says, my Telecaster HH has Alnico 2 pickups in it, and I like them a lot. Me too. I think the Alnico 2s give you a really nice dynamic between, being able to push it when you're picking hard, and they clean up really nice as well. So that's why the 57 Classics for me are the ones that I usually gravitate towards. Yep. Vox says, greasy groove pickguards for the win. Is that some company that makes pickguards? I'm gonna check out. I'm gonna have to check it out. Hey, Mean Gene, what's happening? Hey, Jack. Very nice to see you guys here. Wayne McConnell says, like when I put my hand in the fan blade of my Nova while running. Guys, what's going on? Be careful out there. I don't think there's a worse injury for a guitarist than damaging your fingers or your hands. So be careful, man. Mean Gene says, I bought some Fleor Alnico 5 guitar pickups, Telecaster bridge pickup with neck pickup, great range. Nice. I'm glad to hear it. I'm hoping I'm not going to be disappointed. Yeah, so Jim Simmons says, Tony, the new Valaton GP150 and GP180 amp modelers were released. What one would you choose? We talked about that earlier. Jim, I'm playing this one. This is the GP200. So I know that they were released, and it's funny because they're a little bit out of whack with their numbering system, because like the GP200 has been out for a couple of years now, and now they're releasing the 150 and the 180. They should have called it the 250 maybe, or the 280, just to indicate that it's the newer versions, because it almost sounds like they're the older versions. And like I said, I like the GP200. I don't know if I'm going to be that impressed with the other ones. We'll see. Because I think the older unit is holding up on its own. It's got more foot switches, which I like. It's got the drum. It's got the tap tempo. It's got the looper. It's got the expression pedal. It's got all of the nice ins and outs. So, and I just actually updated the firmware on this yesterday. So the firmware is now, they added a few more things to it. I think they improved the tuner on it. So I don't know if I really need to upgrade, to be honest. The other ones are a little bit more simple, right? They're smaller. They have less foot switches and a smaller screen as well. Very similar. I think overall they're not going to be that different. But I think the main thing is the DSP has maybe become more powerful on those units. I guess eventually I'll have to take it for a test drive and see what the difference is. A lot of people are talking about it. It's cool because it's small, right? And I think for the money that they cost, they're very enticing. Martin says, I ordered from Greasy Groove because they are in Canada, but I had to cancel because they never shipped and they stopped responding to my emails. Well, that's not good. What is Greasy Groove, guys? Is that another... Now you got me curious. I'm assuming they make pickguards, right? Custom pickguards, yeah. Okay. And they're not even that expensive. Okay, that's interesting. So why did they stop responding? I'm curious. That's do they have Charvel pickguards? I'm gonna check. They do, but they're not right. Oh. So the ones that they have are made for Charvels, but they don't have the little notch in the neck pocket for the truss rod adjustment, unless they have to add them later. But the thing is, the ones that I'm looking at here, which are just standard pickguards, well, they have tortoise, they have so if I go black, which is what I have on the other one, it's going to be $36. Well, maybe I can probably contact them and see. But it's almost like they're not really made the same way unless they have... well, I probably have to contact them. It says free shipping over $99 USD and 125 Canadian. So I would have to pay shipping on that. but they are in Canada, Nova Scotia. Well, maybe I'll contact them if I don't feel like waiting. We'll see. But I would have to call them. Yeah, Jim, that's what people are saying. They're saying that the new ones have improved HD amp modeling. And that I think is the main difference. The question is, how much of a difference would you actually hear? I'm curious. I guess I'll have to try it. So David says, so what's next for Veloton? The new DSP, but with all the foot switches, the GP300? I don't know what's going to be next. I think, like I said earlier, I think what's going to happen is we're going to start seeing that a lot of these companies are going to start integrating some kind of AI. That's my feeling on this. I think they're going to do that. Music and Gear says, Tony, check out Guitar Head's pickups. The Z-Bucker. They're nice. $60 a set. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. I'm always looking for interesting new pickups and stuff, especially if they're at a reasonable price. 60 bucks a set, that's cheap, man. But the Fleors are also pretty cheap. Cool Tunes wants to know if I use a noise suppressor. I scored a Boss noise suppressor 2 for $70 like new, going for 160 new. I generally don't use a noise suppressor on my board. If I, playing through multi-effects, if it's got one, I'll probably put it in. Like this setting now does definitely has one in there. But I don't bother when I'm playing live with the boys because there's noise all over the place. So having my guitar not making any noise is not going to make that much of a difference overall. If you're recording though, I would say yeah, a noise suppressor would be a good purchase. David says, I've had really good luck with Music Lily pickguards and components. They make loaded pickguards too. I know they do. Yeah, I've ordered some for some Telecaster builds that I've done in the past. They're pretty solid. They have good pricing. I don't think they make a drop-in replacement for the Charvel though. So for certain guitars, I don't mind buying, like if the guitar is not drilled already, I don't mind buying like something from Music Lily or other vendors out there and making the holes, because I'll typically just keep that pickguard on my guitar, and I just don't like making the guitar into Swiss cheese and having to re-drill holes, especially in something like my Charvel. I prefer to buy a drop-in replacement so I can keep the guitar pristine. It sucks when you pull off a pickguard and there's like 16 other holes under there in the wrong place with like toothpicks stuffed in and stuff like that. I'm a little picky for that. All right. So I had some topics lined up for today to discuss a couple of interesting new things that I've seen. One of the things that I noticed this week was this brand new amplifier. I don't know if you've seen it at all. It's something different in terms of look. It's called the Zuta amp. You can look it up, and it's really weird because it's a rack mount amplifier, and it's made in Sweden, so it's kind of like boutique. It's got 4 channels built into it. It's like a compact rack mount head, and it's got the tubes in there as well, the AX7s, and you can actually mix KT88s or KT77s or 6550s and 6L6s and EL34s and any combination that you like. And it's interesting because apparently it's got a really natural breadth of good tones in it. You could do a lot with it, and it's made to be versatile and flexible, so you can do a lot with it. And I haven't really heard these amps much. They're not easy to find because they're made in Europe. So there, you won't necessarily see them in your store, in your local store that much. But I'm curious about these, and I wanted to pay closer attention to them. Not that I need another amplifier at this point or anything like that. But if you're doing any kind of recording and you're playing with a cover band, or you need something that is versatile, the interesting thing about this amplifier is that you are able to put a variety of different tubes in it to get different sounds. So that might be something that you guys need. But again, I think a lot of people are just shifting naturally to multi-effects units because you do have a lot of versatility. It's still the best bang for the buck, right? AB Normal's here. How you doing? Everything good? Rex is here as well. Rex says, more rehearsals and heading into the recording studio this week. Feeling lucky to be making music. That's really cool, Rex. Sounds good, man. It's always fun to be in creative mode. David says, positive grid and more can do that now. Yeah, a lot of companies are adding more flexibility. Hey Mazzetti, what's going on? David wants to know, did anyone else see the Braille amps from Victory? Heartwarming story. I didn't see that. No, I didn't. I should check that out. I've been falling behind. There's a lot of other things that have popped up recently that I need to catch up on. Gene says, Tony, how about the AI voice commands for amp modelers? Just say the amp and effects that you want, and even voice control for changing parameters. Yeah, I know. Well, I was talking about that earlier, and I said to everybody here that I think that's going to be the next big generation of multi-effects and effects in general, where we're going to see a lot of AI integration inside the units, which is maybe an interesting thing because you can have a lot of creative flexibility, a lot of new creative ideas could stem from it. But I think that right now, anyways, the ones that I've seen in real life, they're pretty limited. And I know which one you're talking about, where you can actually say, like, give me an Eddie Van Halen sound or something like that, and it'll generate something for you. I don't think they work really well. And, you know, I'm okay with generating my own patches. I think it may get you in the ballpark, but to what degree, I don't really know. I don't think it's going to be bang on in any way. I think you're still going to have to do tweaking. So you might as well start from scratch and build it yourself. If you've been around multi-effects units as long as I have, you know where to start and you know how to build stuff, right? Mazzetti says, good news, I found a guitar to buy. Bad news is I broke my arm the day after I got it. Oh, no, man. What did you do? How did you do that? Did your wife break your arm when you brought the guitar home? There's support groups for that. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's not funny, Mazzetti. I know. Man, that sucks. So how long are you going to have to be in a cast now? You're going to be staring at the guitar for a long time. I guess you can't play it at all, right? I mean, you're in a cast, right? That sucks. Yeah, Human Jones is right. Ceiling fans, broken arms, thumbs that don't work, pain. What's going on, guys? Not a good thing. Let's see here. Michael wants to know, when using studio monitors for recording guitar tracks, are you using a subwoofer to enhance the plug-in guitar sounds? No. When using studio monitors, no. I mean, the whole point of using studio monitors is to have a flat response. And I think if you introduce a subwoofer to enhance the bottom end, you're going to be adding a lot of coloration. So if you're recording, you generally don't want to add coloration. You want to try and get the most natural sound you can get. This is why more expensive studio monitors are flat, because they're not going to add any kind of coloration to the sound. generally what you're playing is what you should be hearing. So if you boost the bass, then you're going to be compensating in your EQ, maybe reducing the bass, and then when somebody else listens to it, it's going to be lacking the bass. So I wouldn't do that. Try and keep it as straightforward and authentic as you can when you're recording, especially if you're mixing. Rex says, may put 25-year-old Fender Twin Reverb and newer Princeton, I guess you meant Princeton, up for sale. Why are you doing that, Rex? Let me talk you off the ledge there. What's going on? Are you feeling regret for those amps, or you got something better? Generally, if I'm selling something, it's because I got something better, generally. Sometimes people sell stuff just out of frustration. So let me know what's causing you to think about selling those things. Fender Twin is a nice, the Twin is a nice amplifier. It's very loud for sure. Like, I understand why somebody would want to sell a Fender Twin, because it's going to be maybe too loud for what you need, and if you're playing at home, might be overkill. So if that's the case, I get it. Princeton is a great amplifier too, especially for home use. I don't know why you would want to sell that. But, let us know. I'm curious. Hey, there's 50 people here, 100 eyeballs hopefully, and 25 thumbs up. So we're missing 25 thumbs up. Let's see if we can match it. Let's see if we can get it to 50-50 here. That would be appreciated. Paul says, I got something wonderful for my studio. Paul, what did you get? He's keeping us in suspense. Come on, Paul. Tell us. Music and Gear says, this is why I use rack gear. I can change units and update as I feel. There are improvements looking into updating the SGX 2000 to an Axe FX3 or a VP4. But the VP4 is not a rack unit. Thanks, guys. I see those thumbs up coming in. I do appreciate that. That's very helpful for the channel, guys. Yeah, rack gear. I mean, if you're doing touring, if you have a lot of gear, I guess rack gear would be the way to go. I don't have any rack gear at the moment. Everything is either a floor unit, pedal board, amplifiers and stuff like that. But the rack gear is good if you're touring. You want to keep things compact and easy to move around. So Mazzetti says, going to work on my finger picking. Yeah, if you can do whatever you can do is good. If you have access and you want to do finger picking, that's always good. If you work on the other hand, the side, So the other thing I wanted to bring up is that there's also mention of a brand new, there's a lot of mention of fuzz pedals lately. I don't know what's up with that. There seems to be a lot of emphasis on fuzz pedals lately. But apparently now there's a brand new Electro Harmonix Big Muff Pi 2 that is coming out. It's more aggressive, apparently, more raw. So I don't know what that means, but if any of you are fans of the Big Muff, well, now there's another one. And I don't think it's that expensive. So if you've been holding off maybe getting a new fuzz pedal, I believe it's $122. So it's not extremely expensive, which is good. A lot of people like the Big Muff. If you're playing David Gilmour stuff, people tend to gravitate towards that particular one for that sound. I actually returned. I know I talked to you guys a lot about the Behringer, the Fuzz Bender. I actually got it. I think I showed it to you guys. I was considering doing a review on it. I should have actually done a review, but I actually returned it. I wasn't that crazy about it, not because it's a bad pedal or anything like that. I just didn't. I'm not a big fan of Fuzz, to be honest, except for some very specific things. And I felt that the fuzz bender with the amplifiers that I was using didn't really do it for me. So I'm like, I don't think so. Not yet, anyway. So I decided to send it back. Maybe I'll look at some other type of fuzz eventually. So I don't know if that's something you've played with, and maybe you have a different perspective on that. But I think I made the right choice for me anyways. So Music and Gear says 50 hertz is the low cut for guitar. You'll just be adding noise in most cases. Yeah, if we're going back to the question about adding a sub, also you want to get rid of some of the low end when you're in the mix, because if you do that, you're basically just going to be adding mud to the overall mix. Generally, you want to be in the mids, so you want to get rid of the lows, get rid of the super highs, and stick in the mids. That's usually where the guitar frequencies live. Hey, Zarly. Good morning, Tony. I'm looking for an interface to play ToneX software off of my computer. What do you recommend? You're talking about an interface like something like a Focusrite or something like that? Well, you can't go wrong with Focusrite. I think the Focusrite is good. The Apollo stuff is amazing. Very expensive, though. The Focusrite usually is a little bit less expensive. I'm using a More U hub right now, which is something made by something that came out recently. It's not that old, but it's done a good job. I actually tried it out. It's made by Xvive, so it's not that expensive for what it does, and it has a lot of nice features and functions that others don't. I did a review on that. So if you go to my channel and you go to my video archive, you'll see it. The cool thing about this is that it's not that expensive and it's modular. So you can group them. So generally when you're working with something like a Focusrite or any other company out there, usually you have a choice of ins and outs. So they often have like a solo, which is just one or two. And then the more elaborate units, they have more than one in or out. Then they become more expensive. The cool thing about this one is you can buy just one that has 2 ins and 2 outs, but then you can group them. So I can buy another one and I can daisy chain them, and I can go up to as many as I want. Plus there's a remote unit that you can attach to this. So if you're recording, and for example, you might be recording a singer in another room, you can run a lead and they would have control over their mix by patching the two together, so they can decide how much they want to hear, reverb, different effects and stuff. A lot of functionality built into it that the other units don't have, as well as a really nice LED screen. You rarely get units that have an LED screen on them now. These ones have one, and they've been pretty solid. I haven't had any issues at all. It worked really well. That's what you're hearing right now. So I would maybe look at that. Music and Gear says the Fender Twin Reverb is the best super loud clean amp. Super nice amp. It is. These are the things that if you're playing live, as I mentioned, the Twin is a great platform because it's loud and it's clean. And you can basically put whatever pedal you want to have in front of it and just go. Of course, it's too loud for home use. That's one of the disadvantages with that particular amplifier. Tony, can you still build your own patch Tony, you can still build your own patch. For example, you can tell AI to bring up a 5150 amp or Mesa rectifier, Fender amp, etc., and then add the effects you want without pressing buttons in the menu. I get it. I get it. I know this is how it works, but it's like, I don't know. I can do it, you know. I'm handicapped a little bit, but I can still turn the knobs and stuff. I haven't gotten to the point where I can't do that yet, you know. But I get it, if somebody's got a broken arm or something and maybe can't do it, maybe that's something that you can use in the meantime. Paul says, my studio has top-of-the-line air conditioner built in. No more time lost in the summer. So is that what you got for your studio? You got an air conditioner? That's cool. Is it super quiet? My air conditioning unit is really loud, and it's right outside. My studio here has an exterior wall right beside me here, and that's where the unit is. And when it kicks in, you hear it. It's really loud, which is a little bit of a pain. It shouldn't. I should have thought out the layout a little bit better and maybe put the air conditioning unit on the other side of the house, but it's too late. So it is what it is. At least now we have computer systems that are super quiet. The Mac stuff is one of the reasons why I love the Mac so much, is because you don't hear any fan. When you're recording, it's dead quiet. Whereas the Windows PCs always had pretty loud fans that you'd hear while you were recording. So they work much better for that. Mazzetti says, I got a 1995 Fender made in Japan Telecaster Photo Flame. The made in Japan stuff, I think, is really great. You get a lot more guitar for the money, honestly. Good music is good says, I want the MXR Super Badass Variac Fuzz. Those are pretty popular. A lot of people have been talking to me about that particular one lately. MXR. I think the Super Badass stuff that they're coming out with sounds pretty good. So Rex is saying he's thinking about selling the old Twin Reverb and newer Princeton Reverb, both in great condition, and purchasing a mint 1975 Princeton Reverb from a friend, realizing I won't be transporting the Twin much anymore. Okay, so I get you now. All right. So basically you're kind of upgrading in the sense that you don't need one. You want to get rid of it. I get it. To fund the purchase of another amplifier. And the other amplifier is vintage. Is that a hand-wired version, Rex? I think it would be, right? And so you want to get rid of ditch the new one to go with the older one. So let me just give you a word of advice on that. So one of the things, although the amp is old and probably more collectible, I would say, the older stuff, as time goes on, you want to make sure that the guitar amplifier, well, the Princeton, was serviced. Because if that's a 1975 all original, 100% the capacitors in there probably need to be changed. Some of the components in there probably drifted quite a bit from the original values. This is just something that happens with old amps naturally. And so a lot of people think they're going to be getting a really cool sounding amp, but then when you do get it, it's lacking because there's things that need to be updated. If you have access to a really good amp tech, he can go through it with a fine-tooth comb and tell you exactly what components need to be changed. It'll probably cost you like another $300 or something like that to get it done. But if you're going to be getting an older amp like that, it's well worth it. Just a word of advice. This is just, it's not something that Fender amps are more predisposed to. Any amp any old amp will have that issue. So Human Jones says, awesome. I just got window AC units in my home studio. They're loud as hell. I usually turn them off when recording. Yeah, we call those window shakers. So it's a very cool upgrade after a while. If you've been dealing with that kind of noise when you're recording and now you have quiet air conditioning, it's a game changer. So I'm not the only one who's not bonding with Fuzz. David's saying he's still trying to bond with it as well. Yeah, I know. It's like I haven't really found that I really need it at this stage. Paul says modelers cannot do the classic Fuzz with the spits and sputters, warts and all. So uh, guys with a model are buying. I'll review a Fuzz. If I review a Fuzz, it goes viral. A lot of people like them, I guess. I just don't play that much music that requires fuzz. Although I gotta say, a lot of the newer stuff that's coming out, if it's got guitar in it, often has fuzz in it now. Mazzetti wants to know what I'm playing. I'm playing this guy, Mazzetti, Tokai, Black Beauty. Yep. So look at the design in the headstock. Tell me what that reminds you of. I'm curious if I'm the only one who sees it. This guy here. What does this remind you of? I'm curious to hear the comments on that. Michael says, I noticed you're using the Hollywood mic for the live stream. Are you using effects with it? Or is it the raw audio coming from the mic? I'm not using any effects with it. Nope. Why? It's Hollyland, not Hollywood. But yeah. That's what I'm using. David says that he's seen it on their two new intelligent amps. You can say, I want to sound like Jack White in Blue Orchard, and then it'll tell you the three options to try. Yeah. But I mean, is this causing us, guys, is AI causing us not to think anymore? I don't know. In certain cases, I know AI is a time saver. You know, especially if you're doing research, if you need statistics, if you need to search multiple topics at the same time and do certain things like that. But when it comes to modeling, I don't know if that's going to be a time saver, because oftentimes it'll get you in the ballpark. If it gets you to like 70%, I'm going to say that's pretty good. I don't even know if it'll get you to 70%. And then the rest you're going to have to do yourself. So if you're brand new to it and maybe don't know where to start, it could be something helpful, I guess. But I don't think I'd be buying something for that reason alone. Like it's gotta do something more than that. I've seen AI pedals that will do samples. So you could sample stuff like voices or other sounds and then put it on into a pedal and then play it on your guitar and have a whole bunch of like really cool sounds that are not really guitar sounds. They're weird soundscape sounds. Like if you're doing sound design or if you're doing, some kind of score for a movie or something like that, that could be really cool. Something really unique and new. But it's limited in terms of how you're going to use it in a song. But I'm sure somebody will come up with something cool. So Jim says, try the IK Multimedia Axe IO1 for your Tonex software. It has some features for your guitar like switch or active or passive pickups, and the amp out jack. It sells for about $130. Yeah, there's a few budget options out there as well that are not going to cost you a lot of money. Depends on whether or not you want to buy something short term or long term, or keep something that you can use, for studio use as well. There's a lot of different options. So Vox says, I just realized that I'm sitting here playing AC/DC on my Telecaster. Is that weird? Not at all, man. I do that all the time too. Telecasters can do everything, says Mean Gene. That is true. Rex says, Tony, what guitars would you choose to take into the recording studio to provide a variety of tones? I'm making that decision this week for mostly American Angly rock singer-songwriter album. Well, it's an easy option. I mean, you can't go wrong with the big four. Get yourself a Gibson Les Paul with humbuckers, get yourself a Strat, get yourself a Telecaster, and then in between, maybe get yourself, I don't know if you're doing any acoustic or anything like that, but acoustic would be another option, or maybe a semi-hollow. You're basically covering all your bases with that. It depends how many you would want to bring, but I would say, 4 guitars, you're covering a lot of ground. Yeah, okay, so you guys are saying Le Fleur de Lis, which is, yes. It is that. I mean, initially, that's what it's supposed to be. But I see something different. Maybe it's just me. So yeah, it is a fleur. It's supposed to be a fleur de lis, like in the center part, I guess. Like it kind of does look like that a little bit, right? Yes. Does it remind you of anything else? Take a look. All right. Yeah, Wayne, you're right. Once AI takes most of our jobs, we'll have plenty of time to play. That is true. I wonder how long that's going to be. It won't be that long, I don't think. Speaking of other cool things to play around with and other multi-effects units, the Kemper. You guys remember the Kemper? It seems like it's been ages since it's been out. But they rolled out the new profiling technology. It's an update. It's 14.0, I think, which is brand new. So for any of you actually still using the Kemper or considering the Kemper, this update is going to give you even more organic tones, apparently, and help you make your captures more realistic. And it's a free update. So that's good news for any Kemper users out there. I don't know if anybody out there is using a Kemper. You know what I'm talking about, right, guys? The one that looks like a toaster. I think if they would change the look of that unit, like if they would redesign it, I bet you it would sell better. I don't think it is the most handsome looking one. I know they came out with a small one. They already do have a smaller one, the Quad Cortex Mini, which came out in this year, I think. And it's cheaper and smaller. And I think that one is something I'd probably go for instead of the full-fledged big toaster one. Now that one, the Mini, I gotta see how much that one costs. I'm not up to speed on the pricing on that. Let's see here. Because they have the one with the big glass display that came out. And that one, I'm a little reluctant. I'll be a little reluctant to get that one because I think it'll break. Even though I've seen some YouTubers out there stomping the heck out of it just to prove that you won't be able to break the glass. And that's about $1,300, I think. Right? That's only about $400 cheaper than the full-blown toaster. And it's about $850 more expensive than the Nano. So yeah, I don't know. Let me see this. Yeah, so the Nano's in Canadian dollars is about $800. It's not cheap. There are other options to it though, right? There are a couple of other companies that are making something similar to those, so that's you might have the ability to buy something for less money, depending if you really want to get one of those. Vox, yeah, the Quebec flag, yep. Okay, well you guys don't see what I see. Okay. David says the little man in a boat. Oh wait, David sees it now, he says. David sees it, yeah. The little man in a boat. Yeah. Anyways, if you know what I'm talking about, if you see it, then you know. If you don't, I'll leave it at that. Music and Gear says, oh my God, I see it now. Yeah. I saw it too. And I'm like, okay, all right. Interesting, right? I guess you got other people that don't see are probably wondering what the heck we're talking about. But it's okay. It's all right. So the unit that I was talking about, one of the units that came out recently using AI is it's a I think it's a group effort. I think Roland is working on this with another company, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Lydia, and it's the first AI-based commercial product that they're coming out with. And they've been working on this with AI for a few years now, in conjunction with the Roland Future Design Lab. So it's going to be interesting when it comes out. I've seen a couple of preliminary videos on this thing. And like I said, it can do weird things. Like you can record a heartbeat and use it as a kick drum. You can, sample sounds and use it in your guitar playing and stuff. It's interesting, yet a little bit too far out there for me. And I don't know if they're going to actually release this. But if they do, it'll be interesting. It's the beginning, guys. So it'll be probably weird at the beginning. But then I think they'll find some additional things that you can do with it. It'll be a little bit more mainstream in terms of, music playing, not just a noise generating toy kind of thing. Thanks, Music and Gear. I'm glad you enjoy the show, man. David says the headstock is a Rorschach painting. You see what you want to see. Maybe. What does that say about me? Music and Gear YouTube channel says, okay, guys, need to get back to work in the shop. Want to finish the Ibanez work today. Yeah, and guys, if you haven't checked out the Music and Gear channel, check it out, man. He's got some really cool content there on the channel. Very useful stuff, especially if you like working on your own guitars and stuff. So keep up the great work, man. I appreciate that. And it's great to have you here. Let's see. I bought the Axe IO over the IO1 over the Christmas holidays on sale from Music's Friends for $99. That's pretty good. It's a good price. What do you think of the Line 6 new capturing called Proxy? I think that there's a lot of good uses for being able to do that. And if I had a way of doing it, I am a big fan of real amplifiers, I've been talking about my Supro in the last couple of weeks and all the other amps that I have behind me and stuff. And if I could easily capture those amplifiers in a small box, small box, and really get an authentic tone, then I'd be a happy camper. So as the technology gets better, as the algorithms get better, and maybe AI gets better, I'm hoping that that aspect will also get better, in the sense that it'll be like easier to do and more like really a lot closer to the original sound from the amplifier. And then it's going to make things easy. I don't have to lug around big heavy amplifiers like I'm going to be doing later today. And just for so you guys know, I will be taking that guy today, which is the Marshall Studio Classic 800, and I'm going to be playing it with the boys today and see how that goes. So I'm going to be lugging it with me, even though I have a sore arm and a sore hand and everything. I want to take that with me tonight and through this guitar. So we'll be playing it. Should sound good. The only thing is that, and thanks Mazzetti for reminding people to hit that like button. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. One of the things that you have to know though is if you're taking that amp, you got to take an additional pedal to basically boost it, just goose it a little bit more to get to that sweet spot. So I'm probably going to be taking the Noble pedal and using that one with it. I was playing around with a couple of other things on that board, and maybe I'll just experiment. I don't know yet. I'm going to be playing around with it later on today and deciding what to bring. But I'm excited to try that with the boys tonight. Haven't tried that amplifier with the boys yet. Yeah, Vox, Chuck Norris. Yeah, the guy that we thought would live forever. Unfortunately passed away, huh? That sucks. Now who are we gonna... there was a million memes about Chuck Norris, like, kicking everyone's ass, I'm gonna miss him. An American icon, I think, right? Sad. What are you gonna do, man? That's just the sad part of life, unfortunately. Human Jones says, sat out by the fire last night in the backyard, brought the Strat out and the Positive Grid live amp. So much fun. It really is. There's so many like great things that are available for guitarists just to be able to play. There's no reason why we shouldn't be playing more. I heard Chuck could strangle someone with a cordless phone. Yeah, man. He beat up the Grim Reaper, exactly. I've seen some of those memes. So rest in peace, Chuck, right? Oh, well, what are you going to do, man? And that always reminds me of that meme that I see of Keith Richards reading the newspaper, and he's looking over, he's like, hey, Mick, look who I outlived today. What are you going to do, man? It's a sad day when he's going to pass away. All right. Anything else, guys, that you guys want to talk about? I want to look at the poll question with you guys, because I haven't really... I pinned it in the chat earlier on. I don't know if you guys saw it. And the reason why I'm asking this question today is because I'm looking at the prices go up every day. I'm sure you guys are looking at the prices also go up. And I'm just wondering where it's going to stop. And to be honest with you, it's like it's getting to the stage now where I'm looking at the prices on some guitar gear, especially Fender, Gibson, and you're looking at the price of these not the Telecasters, but the Stratocasters, like they're over $2,000. And I'm thinking, like, guys, like, don't they realize that $2,000 is a lot of money today? Not everybody can afford stuff like that, and it's like, throw us a bone. Give us something a little bit less expensive. I know they're nudging us to the cheaper stuff, the Squire, Classic Vibes, and, the made in Mexico versions and all this kind of stuff. But wouldn't it be nice to be able to just get something good, something that's still made in the US for under $1,000? That would be fantastic. I don't know if that's going to ever happen. What do you guys think? I'm curious. Now, are you guys still willing to spend that kind of money on, on something like that? Or are you guys boycotting it and saying, okay, guys, like that's enough. I can't do it anymore. And just opting for something else. So let's look at the poll question. Let's see what the actual numbers tell us. So the actual question or the ask was, is it crazy to spend $2,000 plus on an American-made Fender Stratocaster? Now, how many of you out there already have one? Raise your hand. I'm curious. Maybe none of you have one. And that would answer the question right there. But so looking at the numbers, it's actually very surprising because it's almost an even split across the board. So I'll start with the lowest results. So the lowest results, 12% of you said totally crazy, tone doesn't cost that much. Now, I thought that number would be way higher. 12% is not much. The second highest answer is not at all. Quality and resale justified. So 26% of the respondents are okay with it. And they see the value. They're like, okay, it's an American-made product and it's good quality and it's worth the $2,000 plus price tag. Okay? If you see it that way, that's fine. Now, the other two answers are split evenly, 31%, 31%. So 31% of you said a bit much, but worth it if you play a lot. And 31% of you said, yeah, there are way better value options. So if you take, the two positive and the two negatives and put them together, it's almost a 50-50 split. So that's interesting because it means to me that even though the prices keep going up, you guys are generally still okay with it. I tend to think like, $1,600 would be, in my opinion, a reasonable cutoff. A reasonable cutoff for a Strat style guitar. Anything above that is, I would still think, pretty expensive. Now, there are some people that have given some comments here, so I'm going to share a couple of those with you. If you can afford it, buy the instrument that makes you want to play it and makes you feel good. If you're doing it for others or other people's approval, stop. I mean, very valid, honest point of view, and I generally agree with that. Vinny says, crazy, probably not. Ultras and the vintage lines crossed that price mark a number of years ago, and with the way anything with a brand name is priced in 2026, it's not surprising either. Unfortunately, it might mean less people can afford them. It'll be interesting to see how much product Fender can actually move at the current prices, or how often they or dealerships would need to offer discounts. You still see sub 2,000 K American Pros once in a while. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, there are deals, there are discounts, but is that just a ploy? It's kind of like some stores that you see, you walk in and there's discounts every day. So they just artificially raise the price, knowing that if they discounted 30%, people are going to jump on it. I don't know. I just feel like we're being manipulated if that's the case, right? Now, someone else here says, I only bought one gear for the longest time, never used it, but I wanted an American-made Strat, in particular green color, and they didn't make it new. So I went used for $1,000, never looked back now, and only buy used stuff. But if you have the money and you want the brand name, I get it. Also, I'm curious about Fender Mod Shop. So if you're, I'm not really talking about all the mod stuff out there. I'm not talking about custom shop stuff. I understand if they're putting additional resources on building the guitar, it's going to add to the cost. I'm just talking about mass-produced guitars right now. The American, like the main standard line mass-produced stuff. That's what I'm referring to here. And someone else says, after owning a dozen custom shops, I realized the Mexican players are just as good if you get the limited edition ones with American pickups. I have Strats with custom shot fat 50s, a Strat with pure vintage 59s, and a Telecaster with Duncan hot chickens. Combined, after a little haggling, they cost $2,130 delivered for 3 guitars that play perfectly. No case though. Well, this is the thing, right? I mean, a lot of people knock the Mexican stuff, and you do bring up a good point that if you change the pickups, you can get it to sound just as good as the American stuff. So if you can grab a Mexican made guitar or Strat or Telecaster for a fraction of the cost, let's say, for argument's sake, I don't know, $800, which might even still be too expensive for a used version, and then put in a set of pickups that might cost you $300, right? So that's somebody $1,100 all in, and you have a really nice playing guitar. You still have, $1,000 or so in your pocket that you can put towards another guitar or amplifier. So, I understand that there are other ways to sort of spend your money and spread it out so you can get more bang for your buck. So somebody else here says, if it's to play, I'd rather buy an Ibanez or a Schecter, but if it's for the iconic look, it might be passable, better than wasting it on a Gibson or worse yet, a PRS. So, everybody's got their point of view on this, and I get it. If you're going to be buying an Ibanez, a Schecter, an ESP, whatever the brand name would be, again, you're talking about a fraction of the cost. Is it, a lot of people do buy with their eyes and not necessarily with their hands or their ears, and they are looking for that specific look or shape or brand name on the headstock. I understand, and they are willing to pay for it. And then again, there's always the other element, which is if you're buying with the intention of reselling it later, well then you're probably going to be losing a lot more money if you're going to be going the lesser big brand names. You know what I mean? You can buy an Ibanez or an ESP or some other guitar brands, like we just mentioned, for peanuts all day long, right? But if you're buying it with the intention of reselling it, unless you bought it used to begin with, you're going to be losing a lot of money. So as long as you're buying those guitars used to begin with, you should be in a good place. So interesting perspective on all of that. And it's always interesting to see where you guys are coming from on that as well. And the other thing that kind of makes me think is also like, how many of you out there have, in the past used an amp that maybe was discontinued, that you think should come back? A model that a particular brand had at one point in time and then stopped making them, and you really like them, and you would buy one if it come back. To me, I'm of the opinion that if an amp was discontinued, there's a reason behind it. And I always feel like the new stuff is better. So I don't necessarily want to go backwards on any of my past purchases. I can't think of an amplifier that I'd say, you know what, I would buy it again if it would like the Electrodyne I had, for example, from Mesa Boogie was a really good amplifier at the time. If they re-release that amplifier, I don't think I'd buy it again today though, because there's other stuff out there. There's better stuff. Things evolve, you know. I don't know if you guys feel the same way or not. Maybe you guys, you know, are itching for something that you had in the past and like, yeah, without a doubt, if it would come out again, I would buy it. I'm curious. So some of you do have American instruments, American Telecaster, American Stratocasters. Human Jones says, oh man, that poll question had me torn. Changed my answer twice. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not an easy question. It says here, I'd be happy to have a Fender and a Gibson. Just sell matched, I guess, necks and bodies and let us add our own options. That's the other thing. I mean, I'm surprised Fender hasn't come up with that. That would be a cool idea where you just sell me a blank guitar. You know? You have the neck, you have the body. Don't add any pickups in it. You know, leave the cavity empty. Just give me a bridge and let me add what I want. You know, maybe even don't even put tuners, you know. If you want to go with locking tuners, you do that. If you want to go with other brand tuners, you do that. Electronics, you put in what you want. If you want to have EMGs or, you know, lace sensors or all the new fandangled stuff that they're coming out with, you can do that. Or you can go classic, you know. Maybe not pay for it. Get a cheaper guitar that you could customize. Ready to customize guitars. That might be a cool thing that somebody could offer. But the necks and bodies have to be good quality though. I don't want to have like, you know, stuff that's cheap. Somebody's saying, I'm more of a Music Man fan myself. My Luke is still the best guitar I've ever played and or owned. The Music Man stuff is outstandingly well made. I'm going to say it's up there. But the price does reflect that. You know, if you're buying the American-made versions and stuff of those guitars, they're really great. Those are guitars you buy once and you keep them forever. So Scotty knows says I have an American Telecaster. Zarly says I purchased a new Fender American Elite Strat and used American Standard, both awesome guitars. The new Ultras are getting a bit more, a bit much for what you're getting though. Ken agrees with me, and JVS Hangout says, my cousin went to buy an American Strat back in the day and played it, and then played a Japanese-made Strat and ended up buying it instead because of how great it was. The Japanese stuff is great. I have a Japanese Strat here. I love it. It's amongst honestly, the best playing guitar Strat that I own. And I've tried various ones. I've had American-made versions and bought and sold them. Right now, the one I have one that is a Japanese version. I have one that is a Mexican version, and they both play really, really well. At the time of this video, I don't have an American-made Strat. I bought and sold them. The one I have back there, back there, so one of my favorites. And, you know, I don't feel the need to, when I go to a store and I try some of the American stuff, although they sound and play great, mine are pretty good too. So like, why do I want to spend an extra two grand? You know, here in Canada it's even more, $2,500 to get basically what I already have. Vox says 1,600 buys you an entry-level Gibson. Yeah, if you get lucky. Those prices are going up too. My Fender American Standard from the mid 200s are the best guitars I've ever owned and played. The quality, build, and sound is unparalleled. Yeah, and you know what? There's actually, if you can still find the American Deluxe Squire Strats, I have one. Great, great guitar. The only thing about that guitar, the pickups were I changed the pickups and it's outstanding now. And originally the neck on that guitar, it's a maple neck, didn't have a finish on it. So it was unfinished. Some people like those now, but I actually finished it and it plays wonderfully right now. And honestly, I could put it up against like guitars that are going to cost probably, at the time that I bought that guitar, I think I paid it like $350, maybe even less. I can put it up against a Strat that costs like, $2,000 and it'll hold its ground, no problem. But that's the beauty of the Stratocasters. They're modular. So if you know what you're doing, you could mod them and you could make them play great. And then it's like you're basically getting a custom shop guitar because you're putting the hours to basically dial it in the way you want it to be. That's basically what the custom shop is doing. That's why you're paying all that extra money. So if you're able to do it, it's a no-brainer for me. Let's see here. I have a 2013, 2015, and I rarely ever pick up a guitar that is made better or sounds better. Even in the 5K range, they don't sound as good. Okay. Paul says prices are going to go up even more and soon a 25% drop in oil supplies affect transportation and the wood to be finished guitar has to be shipped. Yeah, I know that's going to affect everything. Not just guitars, everything. Yeah. Speaking of cases, I have an Epiphone Jerry Cantrell case for sale. In case anybody wants to buy one, you can contact Dewey here. Jeff says, I got a couple of late 80s Strats, a birth year for two of my boys, good prices, and hold the used value. Yeah, man. Ian says he's getting a new guitar tomorrow, Epiphone ES335. Very cool guitar. I have a review on that. If you're interested in checking it out, check out my video archives. That's a guitar that I did purchase and did review on the channel. Ian says, I can't buy with my eyes anymore. I went blind. Yeah. If they're going to be, if I'm going to be coming home with a new guitar, I might go blind too. My wife says going to poke up my eyes. So I got to be careful with that. Human Jones says, I have a 86 Strat and I'm coming to terms lately that it feels the coolest out of my Strats. Yes, indeed. Greg says, I have a theory that Fender had a modern golden age from 08, 2017 is before the change to professional series name. My theory is wood quality. The sound unplugged just bounces off them. Could be. I think a lot of the issues with these new guitars, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of, depends on which tier you're looking at. I think they're cranking them out really quickly. I know that they buy wood and they basically dry it and they should all be the same, but they're really not. I think after a while, the wood does change over time and it does change the resonance of the guitars. I see that in older guitars that I have. They do have something special. So I don't know, maybe they're dried out to a certain percentage, which is normal, but I think over time, the wood itself sort of ages even further and sounds even better. That's what I'm hearing. I could be wrong, but It could be the placebo effect, but that's what I'm hearing on some of the older guitars that I have. Profile Productions I would like to have a B and G bender. Have you ever had any? No, I haven't. We talked about that last week. Somebody else, I don't know if it was you or somebody else brought it up. I don't have any guitars with a B bender or a G bender on it. I don't feel I need it. You know, these are generally on Telecasters and you have to route out the back and install this mechanism and stuff. I just bend the string with my fingers, you know. I don't feel like I need to have the whole strap mechanism in there. I've never actually seen a guitar already installed with a G or a B bender in it, like live. I've seen photos, but I haven't seen any of like in stores. Let's see. I played one of those Fender standard things they made for $600 this year. It wasn't the worst thing ever. Not the greatest either. Sounded weird. Yeah, so you're talking about the budget versions, yeah. It's just because the budget versions, they're becoming more expensive and the quality's coming down, I feel. Greg says I would spend more money on amp versus guitar. Well, there's a lot more that goes into an amplifier, I think. Ian says, I'm sorry if I can't read the chat. I seriously am blind now. It happens. It happened on Friday the 13th. Had an eye stroke. What? What's an eye stroke? That doesn't sound like fun. Dude, man. What's this episode of Addicted to Gear is all about, like, issues. Health issues or something. I don't know what it is, man. Zarly says, Tony, look for a 2000s American Deluxe. Great guitars and prices under $1,500. Yeah, you know, if you look around, you can surely get deals if you're ready to jump on them. Oftentimes things do pop up on the used market. I've seen them a couple of times. There's just another amplifier I was waiting for that has popped up this week. But unfortunately, now that I have, fortunately now that I have the Supro, the one I was looking at before the Supro arrived was the other Marshall, the Studio. There's the Studio Vintage, the Studio Classic, and then they have the version that is the remake of the JCM 45, which I wanted to buy. Lo and behold, it popped up this week as a combo. I wasn't really interested in the combo. I wanted to have the head unit. But it popped up, thankfully, after I bought the Supro, because I bought the Supro and it sounds amazing. And it kind of, the gas for the Marshall kind of went away. Especially considering I already have two other Marshalls here that kind of cover the same ground, but the Supro can also do it. So I'm good. I'm happy that it happened in that order, because if I would have bought the other one and then saw the Supro, I would have probably regretted buying the Marshall. I don't regret the Supro one bit. So sometimes things happen for a reason, guys. I honestly believe that. Steven says, I'm not sure if it qualifies as gear, but I've been acquiring the parts to build a quad bias probe so I can bias my Ampeg V4 tube amps more easily. They sell a lot of these things too, but yeah, you can actually build your own if you know how. Just be careful when you're in there. When you're poking around in there, Steven, be careful, okay? There's a lot of potent electricity in there. Current can kill you, dude. Just be careful. Yeah, I know, and it is great to be able to bias your amplifiers if you're working on them. Making sure they're humming along optimally with, you know, the right amount of current to make them really sound the best. Human Jones, he says, finally played the ODR1 yesterday, playing it clean, just turned up a little bit with my Strat through my Fender Frontman 212R. Sounds great. Just what I was looking for. I'm glad I helped you, man. Those ODR1s are great, and they do, in my opinion, sound better than the Tube Screamers. The Tube Screamers have that mid-hump thing going, which is a little bit, I don't know, I find like the ODR1 is a smoother overall overdrive. Sounds good, especially if you're using it to push, just to push the amplifier a little bit. You know what I mean? It's always nice to have that option. Hey, Johnny Bean, what's happening, dude? Nice to see you here. Thanks for dropping in. Wayne says, I'm still trying to love my blues driver. It's funny how we're jumping back into these topics that we covered a couple of weeks back, but I told you what I think. To me, the blues driver just doesn't do it. And I bought it twice, sold it twice, almost immediately. I tried recently to love it again, and I'm like, no. And the ODR1, definitely a better choice in my opinion over the blues driver. If you're going to select one or the other, go with the ODR1. It's just a better overall sound, I think. You know, there's a place for everything, and maybe some of you are using the blues driver specifically with a specific amp guitar combination that does it for you, and I get it. But for me, I wasn't able to find the love for that one. Just one of those things. You know what I mean? Life's too short, man. It's too many things, too many things. So in terms of, I wanted to mention one other thing. I'm gonna be going to that Guess Who concert. Now I know that's kind of old-timey music for a lot of you guys out there. It's not exactly up to snuff with some of the modern stuff, but I had to do it. You know, being a Canadian, I can't say I'm a true Canadian until, you can't be a true Canadian until you've seen Rush, you've seen the Guess Who, you know, you've seen a couple of, full-fledged Canadian bands. April Wine. I mean, I have the April Wine signed amp over there, so I got that covered. I've seen Rush many times. I know Triumph is also touring, another Canadian band, and Phil X is playing with them. And, I had to do it, man. Burton Cummings is back in there now. And so, it is the closest rendition of the Guess Who that I'm going to get to see before these guys probably drop dead. And probably the last chance I'm going to get to see them. So I said, you know what, let's go. Let's buy some tickets and let's check them out. And I think it's going to be a good show. I think it's going to be good. They have a lot of great songs, I'm just hoping they're going to be able to keep it up and not have any mishaps or anything like that till I get to see them. It's not easy to go back on tour or to tour at all when you're that age, right? So, but I'm looking forward to it. It's the end of May, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. So, let me see here. I'm going to I think it's the May 29th date. So looking forward to that so much. I love listening to these guys. I love listening to these guys' stories and just the way they tell all the great, they reminisce about how the songs came about. There's a great documentary on that. Randy Bachman is a great storyteller. And, I watched, I forget the name of the actual documentary, but you can find it out there on streaming channels. And he goes and he's basically sitting there and he's telling the stories of how the songs came about, all the great classic songs, you know what I mean? No Time, American Woman, Laughing, These Eyes, Undone, Share the Land, all of them. Taking Care of Business, and all these great songs. And he's telling the story, and then he goes and he plays the song. And it's beautiful. It's so great. the way it was put together. I highly recommend it. If you guys are fans, you should definitely check out that documentary. So yeah, these guys paid their dues. They've been around. I know that Randy Bachman is having issues with his back and stuff like that. Oftentimes you see him and he's sitting while he's playing. He's not standing. So I don't know if it's his legs or his back, but you know, it is what it is. I understand. But I was surprised at how well Burton Cummings' voice is still doing after all these years. I saw something recent where they were together and Randy was sitting at, he was just sitting with his guitar, and Burton Cummings was sitting at the piano, and they were just talking and being interviewed, and then he went into a couple of songs, and you could tell it wasn't like anything practiced. It was just off the cuff, but he can still do it. He can still do it, man. So I'm hoping I'm going to really enjoy it. I think I am. Yeah, man, they're still playing. They're going on tour. They're doing a tour. They're all over the place. So looking forward to it. So if you're at the show on the 29th of May, you know, I'm going to be sitting on the floor. I think our tickets are near the sound guy, kind of in the middle on the floor. Probably the place where you're going to get the best sound quality for the show. So if you're there, see if you can find me. We can play Where's Waldo while you're there. Rick Emmett's instructional video was one of the reasons I learned so much starting out. Not only a great guitar, but good teacher as well. I think Rick Emmett is actually, or was actually still teaching when he wasn't on tour. I think that's what he was doing. Probably studio work as well, but I think he was also teaching. So yeah, I'm not surprised that he's a good teacher. He was a very good guitarist, like very well versed guitarist. Like he knew his stuff. So I'm glad to see that Phil X is actually playing with them. I was about to go see them. They're actually touring, and they were coming to Montreal. And I think April Wine was either opening for them or was going to be like a mixed bill, April Wine with Triumph. And for whatever reason, I wasn't able to go to that one, unfortunately. Would have been great. Even to see Phil X there on stage, you know. Let's see here. What do you think of the Matrim? It's totally cool that you can set it to only work on the strings that you want to be affected when you use the bar. You can use it as a B bender or whatever you want. In theory, it seems like a really cool unit. I haven't played one, and I don't really know like how I would use it. Like typically when I use the trem, it's across the board, you know, but it's interesting that you can actually do that and actually only select the string that you want to use. Have you guys seen the Shark guitar? This is another thing that is really out of this world, where it's this guitar is something to behold. Every aspect of the Shark guitar is made so that you can easily customize it, change it. The height of the frets can individually be adjusted. The neck pops off. You can work on it, pop it back on. You can swap out the pickups on it. So if in case you want to try other things, the electronics, like it's totally customizable, this thing. It's mind-boggling what you can do with it. Very unique instrument. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. If you're really into customizations, it's something to behold for sure. All right, guys, I don't know. Do you guys have any other questions here? Should we wrap it up? I've been talking now for a while. Gave you almost 2 hours worth today, and I thought I had nothing to talk about. So yeah, if you guys have any last questions, please ask, because we're going to be wrapping it up. If this is the first time here and you probably arrived late, maybe didn't get a chance to ask your question, don't worry. If you're watching the rerun, you can still ask your question in the comments and I'll answer them. And you will have another opportunity to participate because we're here every Sunday. So, or most Sundays. I wouldn't say every single Sunday, but most Sundays. Jean-Pierre wanted a trivia question. I don't know what kind of trivia question I can give you, man. I didn't come prepared today. I didn't come prepared with a trivia question. A trivia question on a specific band. Maybe we should make it a Guess Who trivia question. Let's see if I can get something real quick here for you guys. Since we're talking about the Guess Who, right? I gotta make it hard, like. Let's see. There's a lot of stuff that I can talk about, but I think a lot of you guys already know this stuff. Like, you know, the fact that the American Woman song basically came out of nowhere. It was basically a jam. And they were telling the story how I think what ended up happening was Randy Bachman was playing. They were playing a small club or something like that, and he broke a string. So he's like, we're going to take 2 minutes, take a break so he can change the string. He was changing the string, and then Burton Cummings went out in the parking lot to probably have a smoke or talk to some girl or something like that. And then Randy Bachman was back on stage, and he was waiting for them. They didn't have cell phones or anything during those days, so they didn't have a way of communicating. So he kind of started playing to kind of signal to him to come back, you know, and jump back on stage because we're starting. So he started playing a couple of riffs, and one of the riffs that he was playing was the American Woman riff. And then it sounded good, so when Burton Cummings came on stage, Randy's like, just sing something, like sing something so I don't forget it. And he started singing a couple of words to American Woman. And it kind of stuck. And that turned into the song that everybody loves, you know? That's like a fun fact. That's not necessarily a trivia question. Let me ask you this one. Maybe some of you might not know this one. Before they were called the Guess Who, the band was actually performing under another name. Do you guys know what that name is? Let's see if you guys know. It's an easy one. But don't look it up. Let's just see who can answer without using Google or ChatGPT or something like that. I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer. Who's going to answer it first? Let's see. We'll see who the big Guess Who fans are. GP knew it. Jean-Pierre knew it, but he forgot. Come on. Dude, I thought you remembered everything. You guys don't know? Yeah, I don't blame you. It's not an easy name to remember. I'm just going to give you 2 more seconds. It's not the Beatles, but it's kind of like based on the fact that they wanted to have a name that sounded more British, and they wanted to add mystery to it. So the original name that they were performing under was Chad Allen and the Expressions. That was the name that they had before they switched it to the Guess Who. But then they wanted something a little bit more artistic, more of a marketing thing. The record label released one of their songs and labeled it as the Guess Who. to make people think that it might be a mystery band, a mystery British band. And then the name stuck. So the name stuck and became the Guess Who. They didn't set out for the name to be changed to the Guess Who. They just released the album as, Guess Who This Is, because of the British invasion happening at the time. And then it stuck, the Guess Who. And that's ever since, that's what they've been known as. So there you go. That's the trivia question for today. All right. Does that qualify, JP? Is that good? All right. Glad you enjoyed that one. Johnny Kidd and the Pirates. That's not it. Hey, Rico. Rico just dropped in. Rico, unfortunately, we're just about to sign off. I've been talking for 2 hours, dude. But I'm glad you did drop in anyways. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go, Rico. But you can always watch the rerun, okay? All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy your guitar and gear. And don't forget to practice, okay? And if you're in pain and you have issues with your hands or whatever, take care of it right away before it gets worse. All right, guys. Stay tuned for the next one. I also have another video review topic lined up for you guys this week, and I hope you guys can watch that too. All right. Have a good one. Talk to you soon.